Hey guys, Happy New Year from your girl Steffi Joe. Today I have for you a review, or my very first foundation review, and today I decided to do a 10-hour, yes, I've had this makeup on for 10 hours, a 10-hour wear test of this right here. I had to mix the two colors, but this is the L'Oreal Infallible Pro Matte Foundation, and I decided to review, for my first review on my channel, a drugstore item because it's very, very, very affordable, and everybody who's oily as me is always looking for an affordable alternative to anything that could help stop these oils. Anything. Anyway, I am in between colors, so I mix equal parts of the 112 Cocoa and the 111 Soft Sable. I set the entire thing with the L'Oreal Infallible Pro Matte Powder. I like this powder, but I don't know what color this is, to be quite honest with you. I just know it's the second to last color, which is weird because there's nowhere on the container it tells you what color this is. That's just bad. Let's get on with this review, shall we? I'm on Ulta.com and it describes it as L'Oreal. So for my foundation reviews, I decided to create a foundation review checklist. Yeah, I guess a foundation review checklist is what we'll call it. Let's start off with price. This foundation comes up at $12.99 on the Ulta website, and I believe you could probably get it for cheaper if you wait for a sale, and there's always sales at the drugstore, so that's awesome. Color match and range, this comes in 11 shades that I see so far, and I had to mix the two of the darkest shades for me to get my color, and the darkest color isn't actually really that dark, so if you're darker than I am. So now let's go on to blendability. It did blend in or blend out fairly easy, but it does dry quickly, so you have to work fast. I found that when I first applied it early in the day, I didn't work fast enough, and then parts of it was dry and then parts of it wasn't, that ended up making it blotchy. So I had to wash my whole face and start all over again. Also, when it comes to primers, you do not want to use a mattifying primer under this because this is a mattifying foundation. And I mean, like, matte on top of matte makes it just not cool. Like, it was so blotchy that I hated my makeup. So I end up going in with a very, very hydrating moisturizer. I used the Philosophy's Hope in a Jar. I got it as a sample from Sephora as a perk, and since I have oily skin, I was like, what the hell am I gonna need this for? But today, oh, it came in handy. And I also used the Too Faced RX Hangover Helper, which is also a very nourishing primer underneath all of this. And to set it, I used the L'Oreal Infallible. This is like a L'Oreal sponsor. Trust me, it's not sponsored. I bought all of this, except for this. I got this with a perk, but you have to buy to get this perk. Anyway, I set with the L'Oreal Pro Spray Set, the L'Oreal Infallible Pro Spray Set. The L'Oreal Infallible Pro Spray Setting Spray. When it dried, it did feel a little tight, kind of like the way the Estee Lauder feels, but just a little lighter than that. I feel like I have makeup on, especially on my cheeks. So there's that. Otherwise, throughout the day, it just went about my day. Like, I wasn't that conscious that I had makeup on, although I do know that I was doing a 10-hour wear test, so that kind of goes hand in hand. But otherwise, it does feel good once my oils started to do the thing that my oils do. You don't really feel it. Personally, it started to, loosen up, I guess. Now let's get on to the finish. It says that it's a demi matte finish. Yeah, it says demi matte finish. As you can see, I'm going to insert a clip right now from when I first put it on. It is not demi matte. When I first put it on, it's matte. I don't know if it's because when I first put it on, I did top it with a mattifying powder, the L'Oreal Infallible Pro Matte Mattifying Powder, that also does contribute to the fact that it being matte. But when I first put it on, before I powdered, it was matte, and it stayed matte. It felt matte. It felt tight on my face. Yeah, again, throughout the day, it loosened up with my oils. Flash test. I'm gonna insert a flash test of, a quick picture here to show that it really didn't give me any flashback. It doesn't say it has SPF. Most people contribute flashback to SPF. I don't know if that's true or not, because I've had foundations with SPS that hasn't given me flashbacks. So it's like one of those, you know, oxidation. I did notice when I first put it on, it was warmer looking. Like now it definitely matches with my skin. Like, I mean, oh, this is gonna make the most unattractive face, but you know, real line of demarcation. Now it's like really into my skin, like it looks like my skin color, maybe because of the powder also. But when I first put it on, it definitely looked Oompa Loompa orangey-esque. But throughout the day, I guess with the powder, and it did change to my skin color. Transfer. I'm going to insert a clip of a transfer test too. My transfer test is I put on and take off a white t-shirt. Yeah, and it did transfer mildly, and I did wait for my face to completely dry before I put the shirt on and took the shirt off. And I did not set with powder when I do the transfer test, just because I wanted to see how the foundation itself acted. So I didn't want it to be powder that was transferring when the foundation didn't. That's why I did it without the powder. Oil control. Let's see. Overall, on a scale of 1 to 10, it did a good 7 on oil control, because halfway through the day, it was still really holding up. It gave me a nice dewy finish without having to blot. Now I've already powdered just for me to start this video, because I could not look at myself on camera as oily as I was. It was just not happening. Like even in the viewfinder, I was just like, why God, why? The shine, it was just like, nah. I would say it does control oils, like, and very well at that. Wait, it's now settling into my fine lines. Yeah, it's now settling into my lines right here. Sorry guys, it's now settling into my lines right now. I didn't even notice that until just now. One thing, ooh, that itch feels so good. Oh yeah. One thing that I did notice is when I went in both times, because I remember I did my face twice this morning, when I went in to put a cream concealer to highlight and contour, well, to highlight, using the beauty blender, it picked it up. Like none of the cream highlight or concealer ever stayed onto my face. Like it just went right back into sponge, like the big empty streak down my nose. So unattractive. So I guess if you're going to use a concealer to highlight with, try using one on the creamier side than on the long wear waterproof-ish side, because I usually try to use, or I usually like to use, a long wear waterproof concealer to highlight with under my eyes and down my nose, here, you know what to do. And I found that it didn't quite go, so I would go with a creamier concealer, like, yeah, it's definitely a long wear foundation. It's definitely, my forehead looks great. My forehead looks great. Yeah, it's definitely a long wear. So let's just run by this foundation checklist one more time. Price, moderately, $12.99, that's not bad. Color match range, it only comes in 11 colors, which is womp, womp, womp. I had to get 2 to make my color, so yeah, that goes for that. It's definitely not like the true match range. Blendability, it blended out great. Just make sure you do not use a mattifying primer. Just make sure you use a moisturizer underneath. Make sure you moisturize. Make sure you moisturize. If you're definitely gonna, if you plan on using this, make sure you moisturize. Like don't even. Make sure you moisturize. I should have spoken about the packaging real quick. It comes in a container like this. It's a squeezy bottle. Squeeze it right out. And it's like cream. I wouldn't say mousse, it's cream. It's definitely cream. So you see, so it blends out pretty well. And it's definitely a medium coverage. Is it buildable? I would not say so. It dries so matte and so dry that putting more on top of it, the bottom layer doesn't move to blend with it. It just like, it doesn't work. It's just not finished. Demi matte, closer to the matte than it is to the demi, but throughout the day it gets to demi, and then, you know, you have people like me when it always gets to oily about here. Oxidation, like I said, it started off a little red, ended up a little my color, or ended up all the way my color, but I did powder and all of that. Transfer, it does transfer lightly, but control. Definitely did hold my oils down for a good 5 hours. I did one of my check-ins around 3. It's holding up damn well. I mean, look, it's not even falling in these expression lines that I make here, here, or here. And as you can see, I was a little oily, a little more than a little oily, but I was still oily. And it did hold my oils, surprisingly. Like, I've had foundation I put on and maybe 2 hours later, I was already grease balling it all the way. This, it at least had the decency to wait for me to be 10 hours in before it decided to look, you better block me or something. So that I appreciate. And long wear, definitely long wear. Yes, it's definitely long wear. I completely agree with that. It's definitely long wear. So out of 10, how would I rate this foundation? I would give it a 5. Only because the color range is trash. Come on, L'Oreal, you could do True Match in like a bazillion colors, but this you can't do in a bazillion colors. We just need a few more colors of dark beige. Just throw in a little more colors of dark beige. What's the problem? What we do to you? For me and my personal preferences on foundations for everyday humidity, I don't see myself reaching for it. I still think it's a good foundation. I don't think it's a great foundation. You could try it if you want to. It's always on sale. Who would wear this for 24 hours? Like, it just caught me. Like, what kind of life you living? It's kind of rough. So that concludes my review. Hopefully this was helpful. If I missed anything, please tell me down there in the comment section. Links for this would be down there in the description box. I'm gonna get better with putting stuff in the description box. I need to really get on that. Follow me on Instagram. Why not? Or it's Hey Steffi Joe on Instagram, and let me know what you think. I'm trying to narrow down my format for these reviews. And again, Happy New Year's, and thank you so much for watching. I know I just babbled on, but thank you so very much for watching. And, you know, giving me a little bit of time in your day. Again, thanks for watching.